to have you guys this morning. Desmond Muthungu Ngugi, good morning from Nairobi CBD. And Koech, good morning, Bito. Good morning to you. Ken Koech, good morning to you, my brother. Mose Katel, Gulf locked in. Asante watu wa Gulf Kipkoge, Taros, tuned in from Kelboy, Kapchorwa, Nandi County. All right, salimi watu wa Kapchorwa sana. Ndega, Robert Ndegwa from Atlanta. It's good to see you, my brother. Robert Ndegwa all day from Atlanta. All the diaspora guys, it's a pleasure to have you this morning. Justice Julius Langat, Nikondani. Josephat Katika, good morning, watching from Kahawa West. Peter Nderuti Theuri, Ken tuned in. Asante. Kimali Barno, good morning, Eldoret Massive. Mwalimu Masinde, good morning, Bito. Good morning to my brother. Mwangi Gasman, Simon Gasman, morning, Bito, tuned in from Deyamboroti, Tuakungoja huku. Aya, asante sana, Mwangi Simon Gasman, it's good to see you this morning. Jimmy Lore, good morning, GB, watching live from Lokichogio County. Asante. Billy Serem Amani Hoji, anasema watching from Joro County. Kiblimo KE, good morning, Bito, and the entire team. Takola, watching from Nairobi West. I love you all, guys. Thank you so much, Kiblimo. Na umepotea sana pale Twitter. It's good to see you here. Sheria Wesley Kibruta watching live from Eldoret. Wesley Sheria, asante. Kalapata Bronix, good morning from Laikipia. Suleiman Loop, good morning, watching from Kasarani. Tuned in. PK Kimutai, live from River Road. Ala kiongozi unafanya ni River Road bana. Boniface Munana BM, good morning, tuned in. Justice Asego, good morning, Gerald. I'm following the gazettement of the 34 is constitutional. The rejection of the 6 unconstitutional. The CJRs are times ahead. I don't know if we can have the law we can half-ass. They say half-assing. I don't know if we can half-ass the law. No matter how much we massage this stuff, it just don't look good. The president has gone raw. Kansas City. Asante sana watu wa Kansas City. Boniface Kibion Motosho amaliza aende. Boni Babatoni, good morning. President from wa Magana Nyeri. Asante sana. Mimi ndio rais mzima wala nyasi. Kansas Taurus too. Good morning from Sheria Friday. Asante sana. What better? Watching from Seattle, Washington. Thank you. Elisha Keme, the president is just becoming so predictable. Who is advising the king? And Model Serem naona Jepta Kibiri says Model Serem leo na kuamsha. Good morning GB. Umeamshwa mapema sana. Michael Nyakundi ati Odunga adungwa. Amesema Odunga adungwa. Haya. Naona Rosalie ana tayari amefika Otarbo. Endeleni kuja kidogo, ndarudi hapo kwa salamu zenu. Lakini wacha tuende kwa daktari Ojwang. And I want to know anyway, kabla ya hiyo. Najua first of all tunaanzanga na mawazo. What are some of your thoughts in this morning and also the week?
Assuming I have any.
Kujasoma vazi leo.
I'm doing good. Long time.
Umepotea bana.
Nimepotea. And glad to be in reunion with you, with the viewers, with the TACO, with Kenyans, with diaspora, and all the part that make this show great. I am fine. I am at peace. And I'm glad to be here.
Okay. It's good to see you. Is it possible to have asked the law? Cherry picking, deciding what law to obey and what not to?
In relation to what? in relation to... Because, we as lawyers, we don't like hypothetical questions. Right. The best answer for a lawyer is, it depends.
In relationship with the president's appointment of judges yesterday.
Yeah, no, that was a failure in rule of law. Because ideally the president's role is a ceremonial. The court have ruled, they have appealed, but he has decided to jump the gun. And I'm wondering if this is what he had planned to do. Why didn't he do it even the 2 years ago? Why wait until post Madaraka, post the BBI and all that? So it is the choice, the choosing, and saying that I have reservation on this, I have dossier on this, is not proper. He has messed the rule of law, because rule of law is that you stay within the law. It has put the judges that have been appointed in a very awkward situation. I think they are starting from a low moment where their resolve is tested, assuming even some refuse to be sworn in. Of course, out of desperation, some will say, bring it. It has put the Chief Justice to a very difficult test. What kind of negotiating with court orders which culture is that where individual can negotiate with the court orders and the ruling and comply halfway. So there is no deliberate statement from her yet, but there is indication that she's saying it's the beginning of the journey, or it's good, and there is also disagreement on that, what is good on this. But overall, what this has taken away from us is one, that a judge will work knowing that if I offend somebody, I might not get progression or appointments. Therefore, I have to give ruling in compliance or not risking my career. And then you see the current Chief Justice will be there for a little while, 9 years. So if you are a judge that also care about their career, you can calculate and say, this is getting riskier. Do I get out of this business of ruling by law, or I become a gatekeeper and survive? The whole reason why people had the judiciary and pay the judiciary and have the judiciary comfortable is for their independence. They're the only people who, because of their tenure, because of their security of tenure, can actually say the right thing, not the politician, sometime, unfortunately, not the parliament. So the judiciary has remained the last bastion of hope for Kenyans, as you can see. Finally, what has been taken is not Odunga's appointment or Ngugi's appointment. It is the choice of Kenyans. It is the power of sovereignty of Kenyans, that we the people, if you look at the preamble, we donate our powers to the judiciary, to our representatives, including the president. And therefore, the power of judiciary do not come from judiciary, but comes from the people. So the person that the president has slapped hard on the face is not those individuals that he has not appointed. Though disappointed and dejected, I assume. It is the people, we the people, that we the people who said we wanted an independent judiciary and put it in the Constitution. We the people that said we wanted a judiciary to arbitrate. We are the one being told that no, I can be a people by myself. And so it is a low moment for rule of law, for we the people. Because rule of law, you know, the philosophers say, him who is not bound by anything but themselves is not bound at all. If you are only restrained by yourself, only restrained by your conscience, then you are not bound at all. We must all be bound by law. And therefore, what this has taken from us is a lot, and it's to do with the power of the people, the intimidation of judges. Now somebody have to choose and be calculating in terms of longevity. How do I want to survive here? And you can see that president has already started implementing the BBI by being the judiciary ombudsman. He's the first judiciary ombudsman.
He's the first self-appointed judiciary ombudsman.
He has appointed himself. I appoint me.
He's giving us a test of the ombudsman.
A dry run of how ombudsman can work and effect a few things. And so congratulations. You have your BBI even without. So he has appointed himself. This is actually what judiciary ombudsman was supposed to do in the picture, in the dream of a judiciary ombudsman. He was to, again, and never mind that the president already has 4 or up to 5 directly members of Judicial Service Commission that he has appointed. That we know by action and by facts that those are presidents, people in the Judicial Service Commission. So how much must you get? So out of 9, he already controls about almost half. though we cannot make 9 into half, so sometimes 4, sometimes 5 of the commissioners directly. So I mean, how much robe should you get to hang yourself? Yeah. Maybe a very long one.
Now you have to hold it tighter. Now, let me ask you something. And by the way, talking about ombudsman, I think we really underestimate the intelligence of Kenyans. The fact that actually a Mwananchi in the village sat down and said, I want an ombudsman. Did you know what is an ombudsman before this? Before BBI came? I didn't know. I had to Google it myself. I really underestimate the intelligence of Kenyans.
Yeah,
If a villager.
Our Njiku somewhere. Amidst the fear of COVID and survival, imagine that the best gift I can give my country, Kenya, out of love, is to appoint for this judiciary an ombudsman. And then being a selfless Kenyan, she thought, now, who can I entrust with this appointment?
Ombudsman.
It's like the Bible, who shall I send? I think I appoint you, the president, to bring us this ombudsman. Akaweka hapo vitu 5 which the ombudsman is supposed to do. Akasema sasa hii is do or die, because now with this Kenya is safe, hatutapigana tena.
Kenya yasonga mbele.
They turned the spears to plows and slashers, and there is no more war. You know, there is that Bible verse which talk of when there will be no more war, and then turning the spear into plow. Because if I can find my ombudsman, I will live with any choice of whoever becomes a president. I will never throw any stone unless it is mjengo to build. I will look at every Kenyan as equal, while all the Kenyan problems magically disappear. And because I have received ombudsman. So yeah, you are right that we underrated our fellow citizens. We underrated the Wanjiku. And you can imagine the irony that I'm not the promoter, but you take the old Madaraka day explaining your plan on what you wanted the BBI to do, but I'm not the promoter.
Anyway, whatever the case, we thank God for the ombudsman. Now we can breathe better. Friday looks better.
Who took Wanjiku's ombudsman away? It's not good. And you know, since I've not spoken to you guys since the judiciary killed Bob Marley.
Yes. Before you tell us about Bob Marley, coming back, I have Maurice Wakili, Maurice Kimuli on the other side of the studio. I'd like to pull him and get his perspective on what he thinks about what has been going on. It's an interesting country to live in. Maurice Kimuli, good morning. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
Salama sana boss. Ukoje?
Niko salama bin Salmin, mzima kama kigongo.
Naona kweli mzima kabisa. As part of the whole judicial system, I'm sure you've been really paying attention on what has been going on in the country recently. First of all, on the appointment of CJ, Mother Koome, who is in office. And it looks like she's really starting off on a very tumultuous note when a lot of things are happening around her. I don't know, what do you think about the presidents? First of all, tell me about Madaraka. It was Madaraka week. Tell me, what do you think about the whole Madaraka thing? If there's any comments you want to make from that, then you tell us about what you think about the president's appointment of 34 judges and actually the rejection of 6.
First of all, thank you very much for having me here. It's a pleasure to have this opportunity to share my views with fellow Kenyans. I was looking forward to Madaraka. It's a historical day where we celebrate something fundamental in this country. We celebrate our internal self-government. And for those who are there during the colonial times, they will if they are alive, they will wonder what the current generation is doing to this country. Because if you lived under the yoke of colonialism, or if you read in history books what used to happen, then you will wonder why people who have been given an opportunity to govern this country would want to govern in a manner that demonstrates that they don't care about our independence, our freedoms, and our rights as a people. So I was looking really forward to Madaraka Day, and I was looking forward to the president's speech. Of course, we saw the dancing, Kisumu. Kisumu doesn't disappoint.
Yeah.
And they didn't disappoint. And everything went as expected. In fact, I think their dancing and their music exceeded our expectations. Then the president took the podium. And a few inches into his speech, he wandered into the judiciary. And from then on, I lost track of whatever else the President of the Republic of Kenya had as a message to Kenyans. Because, truth be said, it was very disappointing. And this is what Kenyans need to understand. During our national celebrations, during our national days, when the president takes the podium, he speaks as the head of state. And under our constitutional dispensation, and even before, the president should be a symbol of national unity. The president should be our father. When he speaks as the head of state, he speaks while everyone else listens. He is not supposed to be questioned. You cannot answer him back when he speaks as a head of state. And that is why even when he addresses parliament as a head of state, they debate his speech 7 days after he has spoken. And therefore, it's a very high office that the president holds as a head of state. And my view is that he shouldn't have taken this podium to vilify an arm of government when he was speaking as the head of state. The president had many opportunities to speak in political rallies, to issue roadside declarations, but to take a national day when everybody is listening, friend and foe, even his political detractors were there because we are celebrating something fundamental. And then the president did this. That was a very, very major law for the president. And basically, the president again warned the judiciary that it's not going to be business as usual. Although now I think it's business as usual for this government to vilify the judiciary, to intimidate judges, and to disobey court orders. That is the order of business. In fact, we will be shocked if this government changed its disposition and started treating the judiciary as a brother. And what was very funny and actually very intimidating was to have the newly crowned Chief Justice, Lady Justice Mother Koome, seated there and listening to all this, and other leaders in the judiciary seated there, and the Attorney General seated. In fact, I asked elsewhere whether the Attorney General had been shown the text of this speech beforehand, because as the principal advisor to the president, you would tell him, look, you can't go here. I mean, you may have a grudge against the judiciary, but there are things that you cannot do because of the perception that it will, what information will go out to the members of the public. So the last thing you've asked me is about the appointment of part of the judges. To me, this does not come as a surprise. And let's face it, this has been pending for more than 2 years. The Judicial Service Commission made a recommendation to the president to appoint 41 judges. He called their bluff. He told them that it's either my way or the highway. People went to court, and the High Court made an interpretation as far as the powers of the president go. The president cherry-picked some of the judges and leave others. The High Court emphatically said no. The president does not have the latitude to choose whom to appoint from a list forwarded to him by the Judicial Service Commission. Because we live in an era of constitutionalism and independence of the arms of government. But the president then ignored that. I think at some point in time in 2017, a while ago, Chief Justice Madaraka was given an opportunity, and the president said, we can appoint as a middle ground some of the judges we don't have a problem with. But Madaraka, who was well schooled in constitutionalism, said, no, we would have none of that. You appoint all the judges that were forwarded to you. But what is weird about this, Gerard, is that these judges who have been left out, are judicial officers actively serving Kenyans. They are some of the finest brains, and by popular acclaim within the legal circles, some of them are the finest brains we have on the High Court bench, and they continue to serve. And you continue to say that there's a reason why you should not appoint them, but they continue to serve Kenyans. Are you telling Kenyans that their service is deficient in some way? And why have these issues not been raised with the body that governs judges? That is the Judicial Service Commission. In my view, in a very respectable view, this is sheer disdain of the judiciary and the legal system in this country by the president, and it is very regrettable.
Okay. Now let me ask you, what does this mean then for CJ Martha Koome, even as she takes up office? What does it mean for for the public confidence on her ability to deliver?
Well, let us be fair to Mother Koome. She just joined the judiciary a while ago.
Okay.
She's still running the ropes. But I remember, if my memory serves me right, that question was put to her during the interview because it was a live question, the appointment of the 41 judges. And she said that she would engage in negotiations. She said, I am a negotiator and I will find a way around it. We can only hope in her favor that she has negotiated, if at all, the appointment of the 34, and she has agreed that the rest should not be appointed. Because if she has not agreed, that the rest should be appointed, what I expect as a Kenyan, leave alone being an officer of the court, is that she would then come out as the head of the judiciary to express her view. And I think that at that level, you don't speak, you're not trigger happy. You don't speak just anyhow. I believe that her statement is still in the works. So let us give her time. She's still learning where, tea is kept in the office of the Chief Justice. She's still learning where the microphone is kept. Let us not be too harsh with her. But let us believe that in the not too far future, she will come to the podium and address Kenyans on what the president has done. She is the head of an arm of government. She should not shuck away or fold away from confronting an illegality. Because over and above being a judge, she is an administrator and she's in charge of the judiciary. If somebody pokes his finger into your eye, you must react in some way if you are alive.
Okay, so you believe now this is one of she's expressing one of her processes, which is negotiation, as she's already negotiated her way into getting the appeal in the Court of Appeal judges.
Because it didn't happen during Maraga's time.
Okay.
Maraga didn't do it, didn't get some of them appointed.
Right.
We can then only attribute this either entirely to the president or to an interaction between the president and Lady Justice Mother Koome. But if she's the one who negotiated the appointment of some of the judges, then she has a duty to speak to the Kenyans and to tell Kenyans, I agreed to the appointment of 34, and we are dealing with the rest in such and such a manner.
Okay.
If she doesn't say that, then she has to, she has to confront, the bull by the horns.
Right.
Because she doesn't have a lot of space now. This is baptism with fire.
Okay.
Because she has not thrust into the heart of a controversy.
Okay.
And she must confront it.
Okay. Now, Wakili, finally, now what should we expect? Do you think that the judges are going to stand in solidarity with the 6? And if not, then do we proceed with those who have been appointed?
Judges operate under very peculiar circumstances.
Okay.
They cannot stand in solidarity. I know they have a trade union. They have an association. And I know the association, which is also made up of judges and magistrates, the association is trigger happy. I know the association will make a statement. I think it's their mouthpiece. Judges normally, seated as judges, will express their views through decisions they make. Can they, stop making decisions? Can they say we are not going to be sworn in? I think that would be unwise.
Okay.
The court has already declared itself on this question. It has said the president cannot appoint some of them. And what the president has done remains illegal, whether judges support it or not. The judges have spoken. And that decision has not been overturned on appeal. It still remains that what the president has done is unconstitutional. I think it is for Kenyans now and the civil society to pick the mantle from the judiciary now and approaches the judiciary. The court has already said that when the president subverts the constitution, he can be held liable in a civil manner. And therefore, there are a lot of options now that Kenyans can explore.
Okay.
And one of them has been suggested that, Parliament should also speak, because Parliament has a duty also to guard this constitution. And they've been quiet for far too long. The courts speak, the courts are disobeyed, Parliament keeps quiet. And this is a failure of leadership.
Okay.
And Kenyans need to rise up now, considering that we don't have an opposition in this country. Since Raila Odinga joined the government, we have had a very peaceful time, and that is good for all of us.
Yes.
But the rule of law suffers in the process.
All right, thank you so much, Asa, for joining us this morning. You are going about to stay, but you're free to stay in with us. So if there are any comments that you would want to comment on, you can always speak. You can stay with us the conversation. If there's anything you want to comment on, you can always speak up on that.
I'll request that you release me because I have a critical meeting that is beginning.
Okay, sir.
In a few minutes' time.
When you're back in town, please make sure you come in for Sheria Wiki. It's possible next Friday.
Yes.
All right, I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Have a good day. All right, let's get back here. Arnold Maliba, good morning.
Morning.
How are you?
I'm very fine.
Well, habari ya wiki?
Wiki imekuwa mzuri. We're here. Thanks for having me on set.
Okay, happy Madaraka.
Was it really happy?
I don't know.
Well, at least because we are celebrating a bigger phenomena. Let's just say it was a happy Madaraka. Though it didn't turn out exactly the way we expected. I think for the people of the people of Kisumu, in my opinion, they did a good show. It's one of those things that made me think that perhaps this country is missing a lot by ever not having had a president from the West, whether it's the far West or the Midwest. Or even
as long as it is West.
So long as it's West. Because the presidency has actually been very much in the center of both in Rift Valley and Mount Kenya, which is almost central within our geographical spacing. But I think if these things went West, things will actually be very good. If you actually see the kind of joy and the effort people put in.
I'm not literally going West, though, because...
No, West, go bad going West, because the people from the West...
it's bad when things go south, not west. Okay.
Yeah, when they go south, they actually get bad. So I think to that extent, it was quite fine. The people from Kisumu did their best. The input. It's been a while since I saw such like a show and the energy. My people from Mumias will say they do things with Isambo, but I think the Luo equivalent is Nyadhi.
Ojwang is here.
They do things with style, with a lot of dotting. So you actually will see that they never go halfway. Okay. Yes, to that extent, it was quite good. But I also think that the president quite desecrated the memory or the sense that Kisumu as a city represents in our collective space as a country. Kisumu has been that barracks, that home of people who believe in social justice, people who believe in the rule of law. They have sometimes gone to the extent of putting their lives on the line to protect the constitution, to ensure that we are a country under the rule of law. And then the president shows up after these guys have actually done a very good show. They've welcomed him very well. And he does something, in my opinion, that borders on abusing the very ideals that Kisumu has actually represented over the years, to the extent of actually shedding blood in the past. I do not think that the president ranting over the judiciary, going on and of course, doing what he does best on public holidays. At some point in this country, we always knew, and people will actually tell you predictably that tomorrow is a holiday and the president will be addressing the nation, so we know he's preparing to get angry. He will give ultimatums and throw stuff. He's gone back to his old self. We thought the handshake had actually calmed him down, but we see that's just who he is. Yeah.
All right. So that is your Madaraka reflections. Now, let me ask you, even before I get back to Ojwang, where does it leave Raila Odinga when the president says that when he bases his argument on the recent judgment by the court and says in 2017 we lost billions of money because an election was nullified right in front of a beneficiary of that nullification? Where does that ring, even as we talk about handshake?
I I'm quite conflicted. I do not know, but probably before I address that, it's just important to put this on record. That number one, Article 1 of the Constitution says that all sovereign power belongs to the people of Kenya, and the people may exercise that power either directly or indirectly through elected leaders. 2 then speaks about the delegation of that power. When people delegate the authority, the sovereign power, they delegate it to number 1 actually to the legislature, number 2 the executive, and then the judiciary and independent tribunals. That is Article 1. It's important to actually put this home. That all sovereign power belongs to the people of this country, and they only delegate it. They have delegated to 3 arms of government, Parliament, and there's a reason why even the Constitution ensures that Parliament comes before the executive. There is always this tendency to try and assume like the executive is much higher than all the others. If there is anything that advised and informed the struggle for the multi-party democracy, anything that pushed for the second liberation of this country, was to do away with the imperial presidency. We have seen it actually rearing its ugly head, and anytime they have got an opportunity, they have always shown up. So it starts with the legislature, both at the national level and in the counties. It talks about the executive at national level and in the counties, and then the judiciary and independent tribunals. So the president should actually not assume that he is the law. Mr. Uhuru Kenyatta is not the law. He is not the spirit of the law. He is not even the letter of the law. In any case, he is a product of that particular constitution, and Article 2 of the Constitution then goes on to say that the Constitution is the supreme law of this land, and anyone who is exercising state power can only do that in accordance with this particular law. That no one can actually exercise power, state power, outside of that particular law. And I just need to, the president takes 2 oaths of office. And in the second one, he actually swears to obey this constitution. It's clear, he says that to obey this constitution, to preserve, I'm using the words he actually has sworn. He says to obey, preserve, protect, and defend this constitution. What the president has shown for the last 8 years, we're now going into the 9th one, is that he has actively, number 1, not obeyed the constitution. And he talks about the laws, the Constitution of Kenya and the laws as established. The president has not been obeying the law. The president does not preserve this constitution. He does not defend it. He actually has been on a raiding party that keeps on assailing the constitution continuously. So, again, like Wakili said before he left, was that we should be afraid if we realize that this administration all of a sudden now has become very friendly to the judiciary. But we cannot keep quiet and even take it as business as usual, because whatever is happening, I think, should not be allowed. Then Raila Odinga is seated in, of course, he did not have so much to do at that particular time. I doubt he even knew that was going to actually happen. For me, that was a seed of doubt in the handshake. That the president has not really moved over from 2017. Really. He, as much as he has told us that he chose to work with his brother, the handshake is the best thing that has happened and moved on, he went to Kisumu and opened the wound. He opened up that particular old wound by saying that when the judiciary decided to stand by the law as established, to him, that was wrong. And here stands one man who still insists that he won that election and that the judiciary was actually right. Not that he has actually been innocent himself. In 2013, when the judiciary did not give him and grant his wishes, he said Kotibandia. So he is also not he's also not out of the woods. All of them at any particular time have always acted like...
The other one said Wakora Network. Now
and I think for both Raila Odinga and Uhuru Kenyatta, they have in times past acted, or rather come out as if their constitution is written in pencil, and they erase what they don't like. So if they actually cherry pick what they want and what they do not want.
We might need to borrow that copy. It's written.
Yeah, we might actually probably need to ask what copy they use, because somehow where the Constitution says do not and they don't like it, somehow you realize that
they erase it and they remove the note.
They insist that there is no note. So you would think probably their Constitution is written in pencil. So these guys want to actually erase it so that then it comes out the way we want. The president, of course, as the ruling, there is a ruling to the effect, the High Court ruling to the effect that the president cannot cherry pick the judges whom to appoint and whom not to appoint. This is the best, actually a very tough test to Martha Koome. Okay. I would hate to be in her position at this particular time. She's not even settled in. And Madaraka said that the president should send him back the reasons, because he was never given the reasons. So all of a sudden now the president is actually sending back reasons, quote unquote, from NIS, from DCI and other agencies. And that is one of that space that really needs to be looked into. We cannot give sweeping powers to, quote unquote, the intelligence and the investigating agencies in this country. Working under the cloak of secrecy, we just run around. So we are just going to say that Bitok has got something that he has been doing and we cannot talk about it. We cannot give him this office. And then we expose you to the court of public opinion. You are prosecuted. You are given all manner of stuff because speculation then takes ride. And you are here, left here. You can't defend yourself in the court of public opinion. The truth is that if those guys, the Constitution talks about administrative justice, if there are really issues that do stand out, that then they should be tried in a competent court, or at least be offered justice, as in the right to be heard and be tried in a competent system. Not in this kangaroo manner where somebody just says that we don't like Bitok because he has got something that we cannot allow him to do. And that is the best way to destroy you, because then people are going to run around, they are going to say so many stuff about you. I think the president and the way he actually has worked, he has not only assailed the judiciary in the past, but he's out there to ensure that the rule of law in this country really suffers, because he's attacked it continuously. And it's not the best way to actually run a country. In the future, when we actually probably vote for people, it should not just be about what they can do. It should also be about if they believe in this constitution, they believe in the ideals that make us a republic.
Okay. Yeah. All right. I can say you have some comments jotted down, Dr. Ojwang. I'll give you an opportunity to...
Yeah, no... I think what was taken from us in the Madaraka day...
What they can do. It should also be about it.
Could have been... it's more, in my view, even worse than judiciary, is the flagrant speech that I will use military.
Kwani was your Kenya?
Yes, you know, even Uganda, when you go to Uganda, you see the presence of military. You know that it is a different regime. So him stopping there, actually after having launched the meat factory, in spite of the court orders, and then telling Kenyans that I cannot find people that I can work with. Of course, because the people you have been bringing, who are your friends, have let you down. So that trajectory, if you combine fight judiciary and combine it with I will use military, then you can see that it's a race to the bottom.
Yeah.
I don't trust civilians anymore. It's like those monks who decided that there is so much sin in this world that I might as well go live alone. So here, Mr. President is saying, I don't trust civilians. That I can, and I don't trust judiciary, of course. I can only work with the military. That was scary. To me, because even during President Moi's time, he misused the police, but not the military.
Okay.
And so that trajectory shows very well. It's actually beating the drums of war as it is, because you are trying to delocalize military. You are trying to often endear yourself with military. You are trying to bring them to things that are not within their scope. And meanwhile, you are turning off the light of rule of law and constitutionalism and bastardizing the Constitution. Those are a very toxic mix, in my view. So, yes, people have concentrated on the attack on judiciary, but I think a big part, and I'm glad this speech were not read in the Luo, because it's a language I like. At least in English, I forget very fast. It's a third, fourth language. When you hear things in your vernacular, they take a very, very long time in your heart. But when you hear them in English,
they can disappear anytime.
They can disappear because it doesn't speak to
There's
my
no
heart.
RAM. There's no memory to get it.
I have to translate them back to the Luo and understand this is what this
and
means.
internalize it.
So and then you are not
So you
speaking
thank
to
God
my
it was
heart.
not read in the Luo.
I can imagine if this was said in the Luo, I would have been in ICU myself. So there's a little grace there. But if you look at where we have been. Sometimes I'm also surprised that Kenyans are surprised. This is a few years ago in the national event. Githeri man was rewarded for the way he ate his githeri.
He united the nation.
He united the nation
by eating his meal.
the githeri when I asked one of my students, he said, no, it's not so much the githeri, but the way he was eating it. I mean, so that president has done. He has that under his belt, that he has rewarded a githeri man who ate his githeri on the line. So why is Kisumu a surprise? Why are we thinking it's a relapse?
No, it's actually, we are not saying it's a surprise.
Right.
The issue is that we feel that is a desecration of a holy ground. Because Kisumu is a shrine, of national justice.
Yes.
It is actually a bastion. A temple where you honestly, when you go to Kisumu and you are addressing matters governance, first of all, you have got a very high ground to stand on, that you stand on the blood and the tears of men, women, and children who have given their very best to defend the rule of law, who have defended democracy.
Equality and justice.
So you go to abuse democracy in Kisumu. That is disrespect of the highest order.
Yeah, so absolutely. Because I know of young people at the age of 18, 17, who died fighting for this country. We always talk of big people like Raila, who was jailed and really suffered. But we don't talk of the young Luos and even some young lawyers who died. Somebody came to University of Nairobi, is a first year. He came out to fight for multi-party. He was the only family member who has come to university. They are 6 feet under. So yes, it is desecrating. But I'm just, I'm as a defense mechanism. I'd already lowered my expectation when I saw Githeri's man on the list, and so I'm just more like, what else has he done? What else has happened in our national celebration? Because that was a low moment. But again, when you look at the whole trajectory, as much as people get this wrong and the president get this wrong, people don't fight because of the court. People don't fight because their rights are taken away. People fight because the election has been messed up. So court is actually the only fair ground that arbitrate. And it has been used severally that in the history of this country, when there was no outlet to ventilate and to discuss the issue of election that has been bungled, the country was burning. And so the Supreme Court and the court was given this task. They didn't give themselves, but by Kenyans, to say, you know what, if we have done our election, there is nothing and there is no corner in this country that is so dark that we'll say, that is politics. Everything must be done according to the Constitution. After we have done what we have done, and even during the process, we will come to court, and any party can go to court. Please don't go to the street. Please don't ban yourself. Please don't ban others. Go to court and ask court to review. That is actually a peace strategy. That is actually a realization after we kept hitting our head on the wall and we kept butchering each other, that let us now give a court this second eye. Let us have the judges that are paid well, that are neutral, that can look at the evidence and say, you know what, this is not a fair election or this is fair election. How can that, Mr. President, not be a peace strategy? And when they have actually done that and they looked at it and said that there is misgiving here and there, how can those be the worst things that have happened to the country? How can that be the worst pronouncement? I can see why it's the worst pronouncement for you as an individual. But how can you be talking of cost-benefit analysis? Which cost-benefit analysis that a court can look at rather than compared to the impact of allowing an election that has been bungled to go on and Kenyans fight and kill each other vis-a-vis saying this election was not fair, let us repeat it. Even if I invite and probably not the Ngugi, not Dr. Anani's analysis of cost-benefit analysis, but which cost-benefit analysis is bigger than the court saying, you know what, if we don't rule fairly on this election, then the country will burn. And therefore, we must do the right thing. And that right thing prevents the country from decline to 2007. From decline to people killing each other and destroying things willy-nilly. How can that not be a good thing for the country? So it was a speech and a day of contrast, a day of light and darkness at the same time, a day where you talk of, I am frustrated, I want to bring this country together, but the tools that are there to bring this country together, you bastardize.
They are the hammers which break it.
Right. A day that you have a glue and a hammer at the same hand, because you are talking of how BBI is trying to look forward and to help this country, and how BBI is a realization that we fight. And so we are going
what
to...
an interesting discovery.
Right. And so this is a discovery that you have discovered. Wanjiku was discovered and told you. And then, to your credit, you have picked the idea. You want the country to be united through BBI and to deal with the election problems, because you have realized that every time we have election, we end up fighting and having problems. But the biggest tool, which is the independent judiciary, that is making sure there is a level play field, that is saying that, you know what, we are the referees here, and we come at the tail end and we can review the process. You are mad that they did the very thing they did.
All right. Now, very quickly, first of all, congratulations, because I know you're one of the petitioners in court, what has read yesterday. And I think I would want us to break it down for the Wananchi, because a lot of guys actually don't understand what went on Wednesday, what the communication was all about, and what you should expect going forward. So I would expect, and I would request that you do us the honor of breaking down the Wednesday's pronouncement by the court.
Or the Court of Appeal?
Yes.
The Court of Appeal...
and also the petitions that were before it.
Yeah. And I think it was a day of drama. Of course, you see the other side have appeared with very able lawyers. For example, James Orengo. That again, you can see the contradiction of the president saying that you cannot be a parliamentarian and a state officer and at the same time be a lawyer representing in court. So I hope that will also be challenged, because you saw that Orengo is even part of the JLAC. So how intimate can you be part of this process, and again at the same time be fighting it? Secondly, the law is also clear that in procuring public service, it has to be competitive. So I also don't know how Oraro ended up carrying the brief for the Attorney General. That also, I hope there is an application there. That how competitive was it? Show us the paperwork. Because when we bridge these small things, we end up with, and Professor Githu Muigai in IBC, show us how you procured this service. But what the court did, Justice Musinga, again, was, justice not to be done. At first, he had given some pronouncement about, I don't know, people will only answer with the 10 pages. Was it 3 pages? And I think Harvey, being one of the lawyers representing Ndi, said 3 pages? No, this can't work. And it was only to be done virtual. So there was a protest letter from this other side, the Harvey side, saying, no, wait a minute. One, you have already certified this thing as urgent without hearing our parts. You have already, we demand for 7 judges or even 9. And I'm glad that court gave 7, which is a big concession. We also, there was a little bit of the fight which was going to be there about, tell me, why is this urgent again? Is it because it's your party's political strategy? But then for concession, remember we were told that they were going to file under 25B, which is asking for a stay. And that was going to make things roll to the referendum, because court will now say, before we even rule, assuming they were going to get it, before we even rule on this appeal, you go on with the referendum. They withdrew that last minute. I think it was probably going to be very unlikely. So they withdrew that. And instead of asking for stay, court agreed to give them expeditious hearing. Then there was the issue of time frame. There are 4 appeals. 1,000 pages, 800 pages, 900 pages. Surely I cannot read, answer, and draft within 7 days. So there was a little bit of a proposal of 21 days. I think there was a happy middle where it was about 14 days. So then, again, the hearing that the Harvey side was requesting, the applicants, the respondents, and the appellant. I remember when I was struggling with this in my law school, my professor just said, think of an ant. An ant is small, so the person who have lost is the appellant, an ant. And then that analogy have always helped me. So when I'm very sure about appellant, it's like an ant is the side which
the
lost.
Small one.
Yeah, my first year, the teacher was very gracious. Akaniambia appellant, an ant. Huyo ndio ule amepoteza. So appellant, again, so then there was the agreement of how to exchange documents, when to file the reply. The other side, the other side is also going to cross-appeal some issues that they didn't get in the High Court. There is a few cross-appeal that they have indicated, and they said there that they will apply. They also want to expand a little bit and bring new evidence. For example, by the time they were in High Court, this thing had not been processed fully. Right now it's processed, it has gone to Parliament. They have the parliamentary proceeding. They have the JLAC report of the JLAC report itself, where JLAC is also giving thumbs up, and some places saying this is going to be unconstitutional. This said, this is not good enough. So they want to bring that to court. So I think they have already filed an application. They're spoiling the party, and they're going for war. And then they're spoiling the ants here. And then finally there is the aspect of time. So that was elongated to 40 pages instead of 3 pages. The judge also agreed that he as the president, will appoint the 7 judges. It appears that the 2 that already appeared will be part of them, the 7. It will be in an open court. That was a request that was given that, when somebody's listening at their home, we don't know who is listening or whether they're listening. So we want an open court where we can have eye contact and all that. They agreed to that. Okay. So the path to the appeal has been set. It is looking clear. I think the teams are a little more intact. This government is now taking this threat of BBI a little more serious. They have put a little more serious lawyers and a firework. Before it was more of only Paul Mwangi, who I think was spread thin because he's at the same time running the secretariat and being the attorney there. So that is what is going on in the Court of Appeal. It is a court for Kenyans, and Justice Musinga also ask the parties, please give us time and respect to ventilate on these issues without you running your mouth all over, basically. So that was a warning. After just Ochiel Dudley had raised an issue that the Madaraka Day speech was intimidating, was setting an environment that jeopardized fair hearing and fair balance, which is important. So he gave that kind of general warning to every party that we want to do the right thing. I think that Kenyans should know that the justice it must be our defender, and the justice must be done though heavens fall. I think that judges must not apologize for upsetting anybody, because we are a country that have decided that sovereignty belongs to the people, and those people have appointed have come with the judiciary, and the judiciary must do their work. I think that even even those who might be intimidated, you have asked for a job. Even the Chief Justice, nobody went to her door and knocked and said, "Did you mind being our Chief Justice?" She applied competitively, went through a very competitive interview.
I would actually disagree with that. There are some jobs in this country you don't apply unless you've been asked to apply.
So you want to assume she was asked to apply?
No, I am not necessarily saying that. I'm just saying that in this country there are jobs you do not apply unless and until you are told
to apply
and assured.
Submit and assured.
But
at
the end of the day, I saw Ahmed Nazir say that at the end of the day, what this intimidation work and Kenya's style has been choosing the worst person for the job. Not the best person for any job. But nobody expected Maraga, and nobody knew where Maraga sprang from. But when Justice Maraga took the seat, boy, did he deliver. And so I think that in spite of how you have come there, when now you have tenure, when now you put on that robe, you can man up or woman up to do the right thing. Thanks.
All right. I was thinking, I don't know if you have, there's a video I wanted us to play, courtesy of KTN. When I mentioned the head yesterday, I don't know if you have it ready. It's ready. All right, I want us to play that video, Arnold. Then we get back to you. I want you to pick from there.
I wanted to actually respond to a number of
you can respond meanwhile as he's setting up the video.
So, number one, he spoke about the military and the president's love for the military. And of course, we've been talking about militarizing the civilian space for a very long time. I have had these questions to ask, that every time the military has been brought into the affairs of civilians, at least under Uhuru's watch, they have come off as effective and efficient. But I would want to ask this. Can the same be said of their own affairs, their core business?
Okay.
Because when it comes to doing the business that is not their core mandate, they come off as efficient and effective. But can the same be said of what is core to their mandate?
To their mandate.
Is it really...
Including burning charcoal in Somalia.
So, This is the thing. These are questions people cannot. We really do not ask. Yeah. And I would actually want to this to lead to one point that can DOD honestly be said to be a manager of an effective and ready, mission-ready fighting force? Can it be said of their core business, are they as efficient as they appear to be in civilian matters? And I will tell you this without necessarily bringing so much stuff here, that the military, in my opinion, has been doing politics. They are no different with our politicians. They say that politicians campaign in prose and rule in poetry. So every time the judiciary, the military has been given an opportunity to serve within civilian spaces, they come off as effective, efficient, and very patriotic. But that cannot be said of their own affairs. And you can list so many things. The only thing that has actually insulated them from this scrutiny is because they operate under a cloak of secrecy. That alone is what actually saves them. But I do not think they are as effective and efficient as they do when it comes to civilian affairs. In my opinion, that is their way of campaigning so that they can actually be allowed more space into civilian space. It is their way of campaigning. They do things very well so that we trust and give them a lot of space. Otherwise, if the stories you hear coming and emerging from Lavington, that honestly is not how they should be doing it. The other bit of it, of what he spoke about, is something that the president said, and it had even escaped my mind, that we lost a lot of money in 2018 because of the ruling. In 2007 and 8, when this country went down, which court had ruled? Which court ruled? Yeah. By the way, all of the violence in this country that come during elections has nothing to do with the judiciary. In any case, the judiciary cooled tempers and eased whatever would have happened in 2017. Already we were having fights. Okay. The police were shooting people every day, and they were coming up with these ridiculous explanations. I always go back to this, that in this country, a police officer will shoot a young man in Kisumu, caught on camera, and a police spokesperson will show up and say that was acting.
Provoked.
No, acting. That was it was some drama.
Kitu kama movie.
It was a movie. It was some acting, as in Nikipindi. As in this country, where people will shoot a child on the balcony, and they will give excuses. Of course, he said that we are surprised. He's surprised that we are surprised. I'm actually going back, and I see a government that has forgotten. No one has done justice to Baby Mutinda, Baby Pendo, and so many other young people whose blood this country has actually used as water to actually water our democracy and the rule of law. And we just come out here and we speak carelessly and we want to push things around up. So the judiciary was not there in fact, when Raila refused to go to court in 2007, that's why things went south. When he went to court this time round, at least people will say the judiciary already said that the election was wrong. That was the arbiter of last resort, when we did not have any other place to go. If there's anything Madaraka did, is that he thawed the feelings. If the situation would have gone to 10 in 2017, Madaraka actually ensured that he slowed the feelings. There was a way of people venting. They went to the Supreme Court, and that helped the situation. The idea of now the president coming out and sacrificing the judiciary, I think Raila needs to stand up. He needs to stand up to that, because for all his life, if there's anything he has done, his legacy will not be the handshake. His legacy will be his fight for the second liberation. The fruits that we now enjoy, he might not be there to enjoy it. He might never have gotten to the apex, the altar of noon that whatever he was fighting for would actually provide. But that is his legacy. The handshake is not. Those are just matunda ya kando kungine. Those can actually be looked at as surpluses, but that is not his legacy. He must stand out and defend the legacy. And whatever he was fighting for is actually now on trial. And I need to say this, I've said this before, that between the republic and full anarchy is the judiciary. That is the only barrier that now stands between us and full anarchy. Because once you start ignoring court orders, I can tell you that as above, so below. When people see what the leaders do, people start doing that. Why would I go to a court when I know too well that their rulings and what they stand for is an opinion? So we are at a place where anarchy is right at the door, and the only person who's standing in to defend us from full anarchy is the judiciary. This judiciary, again, we are now battering them, pushing, and people are here even supporting them. It is okay to criticize the judiciary, but attacking it and going to the very foundation of judiciary is in itself killing the republic. We might not just have a republic if we continue this way, unless the current president wants to be declared the dictator of Kenya. You know, the ancient Rome, in times of emergency, will declare somebody a dictator for purposes of stabilizing, and you will never be made a dictator for more than a year.
Okay. All right. Let me read the comments. If the video is ready, you'll just bring it up in a minute. Let me look at the comments. John Duarte, let him just finish and go. Jackson James Ingoye, we have our own Donald Trump. Karibu sana. Mwalimu Masinde, when the sheep is leading an army of lions, this is exactly what happens. The wisdom around the presidency has demeaned the rule of law. Kabisa, Mwalimu Masinde. Yusuf Lele, ansema sauti, just kissing. Bro S. Issa, anasema watching from West Pokot. We may keep peace. We don't have to fight for these great politicians. You may be planning to lead fire in this nation, thinking you will gain, but God in heaven is watching, and it will be otherwise. Taparosa Samo is this guy. We need more of him. Okay. Mwalimu Wasina Sama, it simply means that the new CJ may be a state house project. Tough times ahead. Stanley Tuo, I think it's not right time for women to take top seat. It's just his mother Koome is still silent on this. Okay, interesting. Rotich Naima, a very dangerous times ahead. The judges were left out simply because an illegality wants to be committed. Okay, I think it's a preliminary, it's a preparation, it's a preempt. Okay, Mwalimu Masinde says this was Madaraka today. He would have given the declaration of non-compliance, but this lady is completely unmatched on the executive forces. Peter MB, good morning. Good morning to MC. After Antena Macau, good morning all. I don't know where we are heading seriously. This monster who has voted 3 times. Regrettable. Kiangura Kamusinga, good morning Gerald. I'm loving this guy. Lady Justice Commerce negotiation skills at its best. That has been that was Akili Kimuli. Stephen Karoda, Banga City Plaza, Asante Sana. Mwalimu Masinde, we don't have a parliament in this country. We have a house full of lubricants, ignomorous individuals whose agenda is killing the fabric system of our country. Okay, Paul interrupting then. Mwalimu Masinde is enjoying VVIP status. He's not going to do anything about Uru's impunity and megalomanialism of castigating the law. Wow, interesting. Agifed, good morning from Nyali. Nimepitwa asante sana Kiptoza Zavania na kuona. Bas Njuguna, it's a time he rubbished the Orengos, and today the same important to help them BBI appeal. Alisema kama tuko na mawakili kama kina Orengo, muona tutashindwa na hii kitu kweli. Kwa masisija Matakome must stand on the side of the constitution and avoid becoming part of the praise and worship team to Uhuru Kenyatta. Akiingira Kamusinga Arnold Maliba, there is the constitution is written in pencil. Okay. Just as Rutumoi morning watching from Embu. Just as Wafula, good morning Busia tuned in. Asante sana. Mwalimu Masinde, the president is not planning to go anywhere after next year. This NSIS body will be used to help him stay in power. Kiongera Kamusinga Sama, that's my fear as well. Okay, Mwalimu Masinde is using Adolf Hitler's leadership manual. Fresha Mauzo watching from Embu. Kiongera Kamusinga, wow, Dr. Ojwang's view is amazing. Asante. Titus Button live from Eldoret. Kariko Masi, Uhuru chose to confer a drunkard Githeri man instead of heroes who has fought for Kenya's democracy to an extent. Many of them now are dead. Abbas Jugana, which cost analysis is bigger than the court ruling? IBC servers be opened. Unfortunately, that has never been solved to date, and 2022 is more likely to be the same. Just wonder, who are these people that the president keeps mentioning? The will of the people. Has anyone met these people? Now, I'm sure he means him and his brother. Okay, I would really love to reach Kenya, and they are ailing from Patricia Lilian Bechibe. I wonder too. Mwalimu Masinde, then how is this a popular initiative if the executive is pushing its resources behind it? Bobo Cheno, great discussion. Asante. Mwalimu Masinde, looking from other commissions around the government systems is true. Uku, there are some other jobs you don't just apply until you're told to apply. Just wonder, Arnold, don't you see them, the military jumping from an airplane? Why can't this military with insecurity in West Pokot, Baringo and Turkana, instead of dealing with slaughtering cows and packing them at Camp? I mean, they think should be put into better use. Arnold Metaja Lavington, what's happening there? Okay, letting Jeffrey Kibe Uru will go in history as the worst preso in 254, watching live from Kabarak University Salimia panel. Asante sana. Ngira anasema ni vipindi wacha nikibia pale YouTube pia niangalia alafu video ikirudi. Grace kama unasema maliza and issue the problem isi he okay or is he ok? The problem is not the constitution, it's the people in power. The president is dishonest. If you wanted peace, IBC would be free from interference and investigation done and people in jail. Nehemiah Rotich, good morning from Mugunja, Siaya Sante. Eastwork says, IB talk. How can BBI stop Dr. Koome claim of someone holding a gun pointed at an IBC official? Dr. Musando's killer can added positions for executives. Stop this. IBC can identify those stacks on TV. Marsh News, good morning. Thomas Ochek watching from Mugunja Market, Siaya County, thank you. Busiane Brand, Summer morning watching from Eldoret. Good point from Duncan. Asante, good morning. FB GB, that is Martin Warui. Kakui was listening from Moyale, thank you. Now let's have the video. When we come back from the video, we take calls from Bunge la Mwananchi.
That surprises me most. Yes. There was a list of persons who were supposed to have adverse reports that were unsubstantiated. But that surprises me most. Yes. There was a list of persons who were supposed to have adverse reports that were unsubstantiated. But then when I compare that list that I recall and what the ones that have been gazetted, I see changes. So there are some names that have been added through a process which to me is as clear as mud. I don't know how those names have been added.
So are you saying...
But I can...
Are you saying at the point the president was apprehensive about some names because of issues that were raised, that list was given to you and you are aware of those people, and that with today's list, the people you saw then are different?
Of course, I can say that without a fear of doubt. There are changes in that in the names. And remember, I cannot say it's names of people who had done anything wrong. It was just a list with a one-liner that we have adverse report against the following, and there was a list. But when the commission asked what are the details surrounding that adverse report, the authority said we have discharged our mandate and stopped it at that. But what I can confirm is that there are persons who are not on the list who are now in that list. And by the list, I mean people who are supposed to have adverse reports.
So are you
that is people who did not have adverse reports then, but now they have adverse reports now.
Are you able
and
to
I've
speak
been
to
asking
us?
myself how.
Are you able to speak to us and tell us perhaps who those were, some of the names who were not there and are now in this list?
No, I cannot do that.
All right.
Yes.
So
Okay, now that's a video that they've come in courtesy of KTN, KTN News. Now, I want you guys to comment on that. I'll start with you, Arnold.
As earlier said, I think what stands out very clearly is that there are some names that have been stopped for obvious reasons. I'll tell you this. Somebody in the comments said that an illegality wants to be committed, and therefore they are stopping some other people whom they think might actually stand out and would be in spaces that can actually ensure that that illegality is not committed. I know that a number of them are just being kept out for purposes of revisiting for the rulings they've done in the past. Because the Constitution talks about somebody having a right to a fair hearing. Have we subjected these individuals to that particular process? They have got a right to administrative justice. Has that been done? It has not been done. You know, so just showing up with some line that we have got an adverse report on them. What could that adverse report? You know, if it has not been subjected to a competent court, it has not been heard, and all appeal actually done with. And it is so... It's I don't know how to put it, but in my language, allow me today to actually tell you, there is a saying in my language that goes this way, that owolwa shiolanga tawe. So it will be, I'll try to translate. You know, language can actually be very fluid. You might not have an equivalent on the other side. That kid who probably did not have parents and was brought up in another family might not, many times they are not very patient to also do the same to other people. When Uhuru was running for president in 2012, he so much used these very, very, very particular bits of law that we could not stop him because he had not been heard. And that whatever was out there was just a case. And they went on and on and on until the Supreme Court allowed them to run when there was a question about their suitability, himself and the current deputy president. So today, the president denies other people the same thing. So you look at it, and I have seen Deche there saying that in that particular video, she says that there were other people who, quote unquote, had adverse reports on them. Those people now are not there, and other people who their names had come clean all of a sudden have got. So we are politicizing the use of intelligence. And because you are not going to have the director of intelligence, national intelligence, showing up and telling you whatever is being said is a lie. He is not in a position to do that. Even you are not in a place where you are going to write to the national intelligence in your capacity as a citizen and tell them that out of the right for information, we want to know what you guys said on this. They will not reply to you. They do not even have a customer care. You can't reach out and know what they are saying. So this, for me, is a scarecrow and some phantom that is being used by the political class of the day to just settle scores here and there, not necessarily following the law. So if you want to beat the law, I want to deny you something, I would just say that we have got an adversary report on you. That is not a path we want to take because it's going to escalate going up in future. We must stop that everyone, if you have got an adverse report on somebody, please go ahead, grant them a fair hearing. That is what the law says. If they actually need some administrative justice, let them be heard, either within those particular spaces, or we move out to a full court hearing, so that we do not just judge people and condemn them unheard. That is what we are doing to these people. We want to destroy their careers. Ngugi, Odunga, of course, we know he has been very consistent. Very, very, very consistent. And that really rubbed the state the wrong way for so many days. So I will tell you, this is a revisiting part 2. The other bit of it I actually need to say is that if you have Odunga and Ngugi, for example, at the Court of Appeal, and they end up being part of the 7, you know how that is going to turn out, right? Yeah. You know how that will turn out. So it's, of course, in the interest of those people. So they're just holding them. They will allow them. I have got a feeling that the president will eventually allow these guys into those stations they are supposed to report to, but after BBI he's giving himself some opportunity to see if he can maneuver. So he's ile tulikuwa tukicheza kasi ni wadogo, tulikuwa nasema anacheza RRA, azini haramu, anashikilia watu wengine kwanza aone kama hii game yake kwanza anaweza score and then anawaachilia baadaye. Haya, acha tusikie kabla hajaenda kwa John, tusikie mwananchi yako pale. Jambo bunge la mwananchi.
Jambo sana. This is Abdullahi Mohammed.
Abdullahi Mohammed, how are you, sir?
Habari. Very fine, sir. How are you?
Salama. Habari ya Mandera?
Mandera iko sawa, lakini nimekuja kwa baridi ya Nairobi.
Uko Nairobi? Nimesikia umeanza kukoa. Pole.
Nairobi is cold, Mandera is hot. Now, the issue of the president and the judges, and generally what he said in Madaraka Day, just exposes who Uhuru is as a person. Because when you are the president, there are 3 arms of government. Even though you are the president, then there is judicial independence in this country. If you have issues with the court, you go to court and argue your case. But when you start, talking bad about the judiciary, it explains that you are not a person who respects himself and who respects the country. The country belongs to 48 million Kenyans. He is one person who has been given a job. I think the president does not realize that he is being paid to do the job. He is being paid to do the job. So he's not doing us any favor. And I'm sure even after retirement, he's going to earn pension courtesy of Kenyans. Yeah. So he needs to respect the public and allow the judicial officers to do their job. Because when you start intimidating judges, what are you saying? Are you saying that any judge who does not toe the line will not be promoted to the Court of Appeal, or he will not be given a job somewhere? That is not his responsibility. When Kenyans passed this 2010 Constitution, they knew what they wanted. So the bus now stops with Lady Justice Mother Koome to stand up to what Madaraka has started.
Okay.
I said this morning, I wish Madaraka was not 70 now and Madaraka was 70 after 5 years, so that he finishes with Uhuru. Because the character of the individual also plays a role on how one behaves. Mother Koome must not swear in those judges and ask the president to expedite the swearing, the gazettement of the other 6 judges. He's not paying them. It is Kenyans who are paying those judges. They work for Kenyans. He is one of them. The Supreme Court and the judiciary must stand firm. We, the people of Kenya, are behind them. We support them, and the president has less than 13 months to lead. So he does not, and I tweeted the other day, there is a difference between treating the state as an enterprise and knowing that it's a nation. This is not a Brookside company. It's a country that belongs to 48 million who will have a say under Article 1. So what we need as a country, I thank the guests for explaining well to Kenyans what's happening. What we need as a country is, regardless of where you come from, we have a country called Kenya. We have suffered under tyranny and mediocrity of politicians. It is time for us to come together as a country and say enough is enough. The president must respect the courts, because at the moment his character will be in question. First of all, when you are the president and you come from central Kenya, and the speaker, who is also the head of the legislature, comes from central Kenya, and now Koome, who is also from Meru, coming from central, what are you telling Kenyans? What kind of a picture are you depicting for the people of Mandera or Wajir or Garissa or Kisumu? Because 8 years of Uhuru's presidency, he has not visited northern Kenya. So when you say you're going to take resources to Kisumu, well, Kisumu is part of Kenya, but what about those in Mombasa? What about those in Nyamira? What about those in Kakamega? This is taxpayers' money. Everyone pays his tax directly or indirectly. So I will urge Kenyans, I don't want to speak to the president because he has less than 13 months and he hasn't done much. He hasn't done much. I saw him praising himself in Kisumu, saying he has done this, he has done that. I mean, no, Kibaki has never mentioned what he has done. But everything he's done is in the public domain and every Kenyan knows it. So what we need is, as a country, what do we need? What we need is to make sure that politicians are accountable to us. I did not choose to be from Mandera. No one chose to be Otieno. No one chose to be Matiangi. We are all in this country together. If we have good services, they will help us in the sense that the hospitals will have drugs, everybody will get it. Hospitals don't have drugs, everybody will suffer. So Kenyans must stand united against tyranny of the state. Yes.
Asante sana Abdullah. Amesema Kenya should stand against the tyranny of the state. Amesema the tyranny of the who. Asante sana Abdullah. Kama uko Nairobi tafutane. Let's look for each other. Haya. Asante sana Abdullah. Alright. Bunga la Manyanchi.
Yes, good morning, Gerard.
Good morning to you. How are you?
I'm good. This is Martin Orui from Kasarani.
Martin Orui, jambo. Umepotea jana sijakusikia. Hii wiki sijakusikia actually.
I had a problem with my line, but I am back.
Karibu sana.
Now, asante sana. Now, quickly, I want to just comment on this issue of judges. Of course, all of us Kenyans are not stupid. They don't know this is revisiting the judiciary. I want to say that I want to give a background on this just in 1 second. I say before the Second World War, there used to be a policy in Europe that was called the appeasement policy, and the Allied powers, France and the Britain, used to appease Germany. Every time Germany would do something that was, looking like it would cause a war, they would, sit back and say, let's just appease Germany because we do not want a war. Ultimately, that policy did not work, and that is one of the reasons why the Second World War happened. Why am I saying this? I hope that the CJ was not involved in negotiating for the president to gazette 34 judges and leave out 6 in thinking that she is appeasing, the executive, because no amount of appeasement is going to stop the president and the executive from interfering with the independence of the judiciary. So if CJ Martha Koome thinks that this is a very smart strategy, assuming she was involved on her part, this is going to boomerang on her so badly. Then number two, I want to agree with Dr. Ojwang when he said that, having an independent judiciary is a peace strategy. And President Uhuru is a walking contradiction. One of the, if you look at now what is now being called the new big four, political stability is one of the things that he now wants to focus on. How do you focus on political stability when you do not have an independent judiciary? Remember in 2007, and this is why I want to agree with Dr. Ojwang, one of the reasons why Kenyans fought one another and killed one another, it's because those people that felt they had been robbed of their victory, those people that felt that there was some opacity in the process of election did not go to court because they believed that they could not get justice in court. And that is why, as part of the reconstruction post-conflict, they said that we want a very independent judiciary. Having, in the eyes of Kenyans, a judiciary that is independent is very important for peace. So because people feel they do not have to take matters in their own hands, they do not have to demonstrate, they can approach the judiciary, and that their grievances are going to be listened to and they are going to get a fair hearing and a fair outcome. Okay. So if you want to stabilize this country, an independent judiciary is a peace strategy, and we must therefore guard the independence of this judiciary at all costs. And I want to just hope that CJ Martha Koome, this ball is in her court, because we know what the president can do. We know what the president can do. We do not know what Martha Koome can do. We want to see what she can do. And she must come out very clearly.
You already know what the president can do.
Yeah, we know that.
You guys are tired. Abdullah said he cannot address the president. He's going to address Kenyans.
No, I will address him.
Give up.
No, I have not given up because, he listens. That's why he ran away from Twitter. He listens. He watches. Okay. So I want to say Martha Koome must decide that she wants to stand on the side of Kenyans, on the side of rule of law, or does she want to side with dictators and people who have no respect for the rule of law. The ball is in her court, and she is going to judge her very harshly.
Asante sana, Aru. You hope to see you again on Monday.
Okay.
Thank you. All right. Good morning. Bunga la mwenyechi.
Morning, Seven.
Good morning to you. Who am I speaking to?
Martin.
Martin wa Kikuyu sasa. Ama Martin mmefuatana?
VP.
Salama sana, niambie dadi.
I'm doing okay. I'd like to say, to pass a greeting to the able professor, Dr. Ojwang, Maliba. Yeah, it's never a dull moment to have you guys in studio. Personally, I'd like to say that, being a chief justice, it's not just being a judge. She is the president of the judiciary.
Sure.
So that's where politics come in. You see, and from the onset, I had a problem with the Martha Koome. Not because she's not a good judge or she's not a person who is going to make a good chief justice, but I knew she will not be able to play politics, Because in the judiciary, one thing that Madaraka was able to manage the judiciary well throughout his term is because he knew how to play the politics in the judiciary. Because once you allow the executive to have a say in what the judiciary is supposed to do, then we might as well forget that we have a judiciary and go into anarchy. And that's where the problem comes in. If she's not going to play her politics well, then she's not going to make a good chief justice. You see, you can be a good chief justice, you can be a good judge, but not a good politician in the judiciary, and that will mess everything up for everybody. You see, because personally, I think for me, the biggest achievement that Madaraka left, he left a very big mark in the judiciary, that whoever comes into the judiciary will have to be able, according to, he played to the, I can say that Madaraka played to the whims of the Kenyan people. You see, that's why the Kenyan people were with Madaraka. regardless of anything that somebody might as well say outside there. Everybody was like, Maraga is for Maraga will stand by the people, and he will be there because of the people. You see,
All right.
and that's why the mark that Maraga left, Mother Koome must be able to try as much to fit into that shoe.
Okay.
Because as you can see now, politics has started playing, and now the ball is in our court. How is she going to react? You see, personally, I think for me it's very absurd that the president will try to cherry pick the number of the judges who are supposed to be promoted to the next level in the various courts. I think it's very absurd, but I know we'll continue revisiting the executive.
Okay. You shall revisit. You'll continue revisiting the executive. Bunga la mwenchi jambo. Bunga la mwenchi. Good morning.
Yeah, how are you?
Salama boss. Who am I speaking to?
I'm Mahmoud Hajir.
Yes, Mahmoud. Wambie.
From Eldoret.
Hey, jambo habari Eldoret.
Nzuri sana.
Leta habari yako tusikie.
Nataka niongee Kiingereza
Please, go ahead. There's no problem. That's fine. That's fine. Please.
So, the topic is what? I want to say a few things.
Yes, sir.
Concerning about these BBI things.
Please, go ahead, sir.
And we have seen that the president, how he was attacking judiciary in Madaraka Day at Sumu.
Yeah.
And later on, he dismissed to appoint the two judges that were, rejected the BBI at the High Court level. And then the question I'm asking the president is that if he is not respecting the current constitution,
yes,
why is he forcing us to amend the constitution again that we want to obey?
The new one.
Refused to obey.
The new one, yes. I think maybe when it's new, you can obey. They don't like old things.
No, you cannot. You cannot. Because if you refuse the current constitution 2010,
yes,
he refused to appoint the 14 judges. He refused the 11 court orders that Maiguna should come back to Kenya. And he refused many things. The disbandment of the parliament and many things. So I want to tell Kenyans that this BBI Bravado and these things, what we should do is that he should finish this term bole aende nyumbani.
Bole aende nyumbani.
Aende nyumbani kabisa. Awachane na dhiki.
Asante sana ndugu yangu. Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to have you. Hope to see you again on Monday.
Asante sana.
Asante kwa siku njema. Bwana maliza bole pande nyumbani. Haya. Turudi kwenye studio tukikafunga. And as we close in, there are questions I would want to pose to you, Ojwang, so that we able to finish right on time. The issues of the decisions that were made by the court on Wednesday, including on the days of hearing. I understand that the oral arguments are beginning in end of June towards July, towards mid of July. Now, the BBI guys told us we're going to have a referendum in June 15th. Now, is a referendum feasible with those dates that have been given?
It depends. But obviously it can't be June 15th or June because the hearing ends in June 3rd, 2nd. July 3rd, 2nd. And then after that, the judges must retire to bring a judgment, which at that point then we might be saying it's not just a judgment, but a miracle working session for them to overturn all the grounds.
The 17.
All the 17 grounds. That will be
1, 2, 3 until 17.
Yeah, until 17. And not only 17, each one the High Court found or ruled based on various reasons. So, for example, the reason why, for example, the article on IBC is wrong or electoral making constituency, there were 3 grounds for that. So that there was a ground on the law, the ground on the act. So you are not only undoing the 17, you are doing the 17 with their reasons, which some of their reasons are multiple or triple. That will be...
So even one could be taking 3 babies or 4 babies.
Yeah, so you are undoing 48 clean. That will be a clean job. That will be a clean job. And then you dash to the playfield. I think in Kisumu speech you could tell who is the father of BBI. The person who cried the most and aggrieved the most. And then I just saw Raila watching it, former Prime Minister. I think the father of BBI is now coming out clearly to say, this is my baby, and what have you done to my baby? It becomes personal. But I look at... Kenya Constitution again, envision the end of this agony. Article 142, that a person shall not be president for more than 2 terms. So I don't want to be mourned as somebody who has no hope. As a preacher will go to a funeral and read Corinthians, we shall not all die, but we shall be changed in the whatever of the, right, before the body and before you lower your loved ones. I will also want to priestly read this article 142 to the Kenyans, that there is an end. And that is a reason to be hopeful. That's a reason to still have a skip in your walk and to have a goosebump, because the Constitution envisioned that whether it is a good presidency or whatever the presidency, it ends after 2 terms. There is an end term to this. But the question is, when it's over, how will you be? And how will history judge you?
Really, akusema Yesu akirudi atakupata vipi?
This is an altar call. Right now I should be having souls ready for baptism. Itakupataje? Yako itakuwaje?
Nguo yako ndani itakuwa vipi?
It has ended up that we go to funeral and it ends up not being about the funeral but the people who have remained being told, we ukikufa utakuwa wapi? So when the term is over, where will you be in our history? So the Constitution has solution. The solution created this. The solution has an end to it in Article 142, that 2 terms is over. Finally, I also wanted to say that they said in class 4, the only adjective that I had to add in every composition was a poor worker blame his tools. Judiciary, kama siyo judiciary, no, stay on the big 4. Deliver on your corner. Don't measure in the minor. You find somebody have gone to college their 3rd year and then you ask them what's your major undecided, and then they decide to major in the minor. You came to do psychology, you got an interest in belly dancing and music. Now you find your minors become the major. Let us not, and as Wakili was saying here, even the military, major in your major, not major in their mind.
Do their business.
Yes, and I think the only comment I have for even the Chief Justice is, to be honest, Michelle Obama gives a very good picture. A place on the table. She's saying when you get a seat at the table, stay there because you are adding value. Stay there because you are still able to speak up. And the day you find that you are sitting there and hogging that space, but not giving value and not being able to speak, then please leave the table. That is a value nascent in Kenya. People don't resign because they can't do their work. People don't. Somebody will rather sit at the table and do nothing at the table. Yet you are occupying a seat that is very critical. So I think, to be fair, our Chief Justice has a seat at the table. She should occupy that seat and help Kenya. The Constitution talk of I will discharge my duty. That's the presidential oath, without affection or ill will. Ill will. Now, surely, others we can say are constitutional terms or legal terms. Ill will is layman. Ill will is so as layman as you get. What is ill will? That is what the Constitution envisioned. It said even if you don't understand this legalese, usifanye kwa ubaya. So now the revisiting is will. Giving the very man our prize is ill will. Achana na hizo.
Usikuwa na ubaya. Yes. There was someone already has disappeared again who has been calling in for the longest time. I thought I could give him a chance before I hand it over to my good friend Arnold. Sema usikuwa na ubaya. Kama uelewi, hata kama uelewi katiba.
Usifanye kitu kwa ubaya.
Hilo, tafadhali usikuwa na ubaya.
Tukae tu vizuri.
Haya. Sawa, jambo, bunge la mwenye nchi. Mbona nikusaidie kwa sababu mbona umepiga sana. Naongea na nani? Maxwell niambie.
Now,
Msaidia sauti ya simu.
There is one pain that we are having here. The pain of discussing Uhuru Kenyatta. Our president. A president who...
Na uongea na sauti, Maxwell?
Yeah, it seems he left his feelings somewhere. Because the decisions he makes, you wonder, where did he wake up? Who did he sleep with? Where did he sleep? What did he eat in the morning? Because
Amanda. Arnold, alikuwa na credit kidogo. Arnold, please take it over.
I just wanted to add on what Dr. Ojwang has said, that and probably start from this place. For all the recorded work of Jesus Christ, the Bible says that Jesus committed, at least chronologically, Jesus committed about, or rather did, 37 miracles over the time of his ministry, just 37 miracles. I'm trying to see how the 7 judges appointed by Justice Musinga will actually do at least 100 miracles, because every one of those particular issues has got about 3 to 4 reasons under them. So we are not just talking about one miracle of sweeping away an issue that actually has been raised. So we have got 17, and those 17 have got an average of some sub-issues under them, about 3 to 4. That is in excess of about 70 to 80. I'm wondering how these 7 men will be able to pull that within a month's time. I see how difficult that is going to be. So I think we are at a place where, as a nation, we should probably stop mourning and get into introspection as a people. Is this what we want? Do we deserve such? Because we know we've been taken round and round. And the president has been very perfect in scapegoating. When he came to power, his cry and hue always was the opposition. The opposition this, the opposition that. They don't want development, and some people would even join them into trending hashtag and everything else, including coming off and, of course, Christianizing Raila as the father of poverty. As in the Lord of poverty. So he will blame Raila, and the president is one man who cannot work without an enemy. Even when he has got all the instruments to administer state, he always has to create some phantom somewhere, some scarecrow, so that he's always there. So he first of all talked about the opposition forever. He would sing opposition, called him a demon and everything else. For the longest time, we knew the president cannot perform because we have got a very stubborn opposition. Then we moved on. Then he said the civil society. They bastardized the civil society, called them the evil society, and he took a lot of time. But then we have destroyed the third sector, a pillar when you're talking about building a republic. Our civil society is completely ruined, courtesy of this particular administration. And there is something the civil society does. They stand watch away from what the state does. They are the other bit of it, the shadow that stands out and watches, who calls out when we actually are pushed by the state that we have chosen. We have destroyed our civil society. It is not there. It is quite trying just to sprout. But it was destroyed in a way that it will take a little bit of time before our civil society becomes vibrant again. Then he moved on very fast to foreign powers. foreign interests, these countries, we will not accept these countries and what. That was a very popular line, especially when they were still fighting with the ICC cases. So these foreign powers and everyone else and everything else. But they have handed over Kenyans like Miguna and other people. We have handed them over to other foreign powers without necessarily going back to those particular words. Now we are talking about judiciary. On and on and on and on. When is Uhuru going to stop scapegoating? Okay. That is something we really need to ask. When exactly is he going to actually sit down and work? Because all we see is that he has failed in debt management. You know, he keeps us busy and he's screwing up the country. Yeah. We are at a place where our debt has blown off. The millennials, the Generation Zers, and these younger ones that have joined us, we call them the Alpha generation. But you guys are going to carry a burden like no one else has ever carried. You have got close to $1 trillion of a debt that is actually required of you to pay. And most of you have not been equipped and tooled sufficiently to be in a place where you can actually deliver and work on this. I feel that probably we need to start thinking about a Kenya beyond this drama that we have. This is not our circus. As in, we are not the owners of these monkeys.
Our show.
We are not the owners of the monkeys, and this is not our circus. We need to start actually.
We are not the monkeys. We are not the owners of the monkeys.
We are not the monkeys. We are not the owners of these monkeys, and we do not own this circus. We need to start thinking of a Kenya that is better beyond this drama that we are seeing now.
Okay, all right. Now, last question. I know Ojwang really gets uncomfortable with this question most of the time we've asked it. But the issues of, we have this narrative that is being peddled every time about elections being pushed to accommodate a referendum, a BBI referendum. Does it make sense to you, Arnold?
That question has been around for quite a while. That suggestion keeps on being pushed, especially by a few people within the proximities of power. But I want to remind Kenyans today, these are conversations we don't want to talk about. But lest it be forgotten, when Burundi went down and that region got into the problems we now know, it was because of a postponed presidential election. Something that no one ever tells you is that Somalia is where it is because just before that, they were unable to have an election.
And the president said we can do another two. No.
The thing is this. Anyone trying to introduce an idea, it is a bad idea, it is a bad dream. It should not even be on anyone's lips. Trying to postpone an election is threatening national security. In fact, those people who are pushing that narrative should be treated as enemies of the state because we cannot, what is it we want to do now? We are doing so bad economically. Why can't we give it to some other people? We have voted actually thrice in the last 10 years. Now we want to actually move away this election so that what happens? That we give these people who have mismanaged the country more time to mismanage us. That we give this very, very lot a little bit more time to destroy the judiciary. That we give these guys more time to take more debt and insult us. And shake the foundations upon which this country is founded. No, that is not possible. We cannot. As in, do we hate ourselves this much? Do we hate this country this much to think about postponing an election? Are you normal to actually, wherever you are seated, are you high on something? Sometimes when you hear people talk about these things and you are like kind of, has weed been really legalized in this country and we probably do not know? What kind of thinking is that?
Are they passing something around?
As in, is there something that is actually passing around?
They're puffing something.
Anyone entertaining that thought is not only insane, but should actually be kept so far away from civilization. They should not be given a microphone. As in, those guys should be quarantined, kept off, and they need to sanitize their mind. They need to keep off and social distance from the management of
normal human beings.
We do not need that kind of thinking. We have had enough of this drama. We do not need an extension of this. I just need to say this. I know it's the people in Tangatanga who have been saying this, but I actually need to say this. Uhuru amalize na aende. Tafadhali atuache vile alitupata. Waislamu wanasema tulipatana kwa amani.
Tuachane kwa amani.
As in, Mr. President, we brought you in very well in 2013. Please go. We just don't want an as in, what good has he done?
You're saying this with a lot of emotion.
No. We cannot have an extension of this. By the way, people are so angry in this country that postponing an election is actually giving people a reason to actually come up with other ideas. people should dissuade the president or any other person who is thinking about that.
Okay.
Ukisikia mtu anasema hiyo kitu kwa rally, fukuza yeye.
Twanga yeye.
Wasipatikane anywhere else. We should not. We want an election next year. We want to organize, like we have said, this is not our circus. We do not own these monkeys. We want to organize our country differently.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so that's Ojwang. I don't know if you want to comment on that.
Even though I don't know what miracle they will do to actually have that. As in, where in law will they peg that?
I saw Mutai Ngunyi talking of military are the ultimate protector of the Constitution.
The honors of the
judiciary.
Constitution. The honors of the Constitution.
Yet the military is subject to the civilian authority and the laws of the land. So when you are ranking the sovereignty and the power and the supremacy of anything, the people are at the apex. If you have to actually delegate it, the next people down there is actually parliament.
The sovereign without guns.
We are the people, we are the power. And any other person,
We the people.
whether they control kinetics, whether they control the instruments of violence or anything else, they are subject to the civilian authority. Let no one not, there's a lot of political infatuation that goes on when people get proximity to power. But then sometimes proximity should not be actually misconceived to mean that you wield that power. Okay. So, these guys who are just given consultancies to walk around and help the presidency and draft and think through some of these things, sometimes they think they actually own power. So, when you see Mutai Ngunyi writing a lot of those spaces, you're like, what kind of dictator is this? The man left the academy, and thank God he is not an elected leader. I don't know why we even get annoyed with that man. He's not elected by anyone. He should be ignored.
Okay. All right,
Extension
Ojwang.
codes
Your thoughts for
it is possible. But usually extension codes causes fire, though. If you start adding extension codes,
you had to end with a
causes
disclaimer.
fire.
It is possible it causes fire.
It's very important to strike hold this Jubilee thinking when it's still at thought stage, because I believe they
unasema kabla haijataga mayai. Nyonga kabla haijataga mayai.
If you are thinking as such, there is no place for you in Kenya, and I think that outrightly they may even try. Some of the mischief that they had thought they could achieve, even using some amendments, but at the end of the day, the Constitution is clear. People must seek the mandate of the people. They will come, and when they come, the people will decide and choose their leaders. I think finally, in my view, we must understand that what is important in Kenya is not the leaders, but the people. It's a different concept. It's a radical concept. It's topsy-turvy. That is why we call the Constitution transformative, because it is supposed to transform that thinking that we were used to show that no. Right now it's the people, and everybody must comply with the Constitution, and judiciary are the safeguard of our Constitution, including the values. It is now, according to that, the Constitution. It is the judiciary that safeguards that. Judiciary. There are people who are, they say little knowledge become more dangerous.
Than non-knowledge at all.
Yeah, or semi-literacy. There's a little bit of semi-literacy in the people like Mutai Ngunyi. He has a team of some people with well-kept mustache, and then they look presentable. I give them that
until they
much.
speak out.
But that's the end. And they always like to pick on law. Why are they? Some are one of their tools. I don't know whether it turns them on, but they always pick on law. And they bastardize it so much. Because, everybody I've heard who have gone to scientific political science class have heard of separation of power. And so they are stuck with the separation of power. But under our Constitution, we are constitutional. and that constitutionalism in the Constitution have thrown the typical traditional tripartite separation of power, so that yes, there is the institutions, but ultimately it's about the Constitution, and that has invited Judicial to check and to review every action. And there are people who might not have understood that yet, that even those separation of power principle are not perfect. So you find people quoting things that the Europeans said in 1800, whether it's Machiavelli, because they went to political science department, and if you go to our political science department, you find books by Machiavelli, The Prince. Those were 1700 books. Our Constitution has moved past that. You find words that somebody borrowed, for example, judicial activism. What is that?
It has
there's
no
nothing.
meaning.
It
totally has no
meaning. We have constitutionalism, and we have judges administering their duties. So I just want to urge fellow Kenyans and finish at this mic dropping comment that in Constitution envisioned an end to your joy or your pain.
Okay.
And at the end of the day, it will stop. Then you will make another mistake. Even if all we do is make mistake every 5 years, Constitution guarantees us that right to make that mistake every so often. You cannot deny us the right
the luxury
to
of making mistakes.
Yeah, I must make that mistake again. Thank you.
All right, thank you guys. It's been a pleasure. Thank you so much for coming in. The guys, that's a micro moment. Thank you so much. We have the democracy to make the mistakes. The law gives us the leeway to keep making these mistakes, even if we want to make them every 5 years. That's interesting. But I know Maliba would not agree because he's a public policy analyst. But until Monday, see you guys. And again on Sheria Wiki on Friday. Wish you a very great weekend. Take care. The Taco loves you and we appreciate your support. Without you, we could never be. Until Monday, take care and be good. Be safe, Bana. This is Taco now. Bye-bye.